Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe. Entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farah.
Good morning. Let me know if you can hear us, because I've had some technical difficulties, as always have technical difficulties with this, like seriously all the time. Yes, let me know in the comments if you can hear our microphones, please. Because I can't hear anything, I haven't got headphones in. Should have been prepared. Right, I'm going to make this big on the side. So, make it big like that. Whoosh! Look at that. I know, it's a bit intense, isn't it? I might make it a little bit smaller. So basically what I do is, hello. This is Jeanette the world.
Hello, the world.
What I do is I basically watch people coming in and then they comment and let me know they're there.
Okay.
So we're definitely live. So you need to tell me there, loud and clear, good morning. There you go, we can hear. That's what we need, look.
Wonderful.
As soon as you see your friend Francine on there, that makes you feel so much better, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us this morning. We have, hang on, I do have an intro.
Oh, right, okay.
I am prepared. Co-founder and director of Just Breathe, mental health specialist, Jeanette Nattrass. Jeanette has a plethora, do you like that word?
I do, very impressed.
Of knowledge, including clinical counselling, master clinical hypnotherapist, NLP master practitioner, EMI practitioner, and EMDR practitioner. I have no idea what all that is.
Okay.
But I'm sure you do.
Yes.
So I was prepared. I just did that earlier on. Morning, Katie. We can hear you. Thank you very much. LinkedIn news. I see I can't see who the LinkedIn users are, but thanks for joining us over LinkedIn. We are over LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Can you see how nervous Jeanette is?
Okay.
She didn't sleep very well last night thinking about this. I slept like a baby.
Yes,
not bothered at all. But it is because I've done this loads of times, but for the first time, this is the first time you've gone live, I guess?
Yeah, first time.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Can you see in the top right, top left, we've got a love there. Katie's given us a love. So Can you give Jeanette some love, please? Because she's a bit nervous, so hit the love button. Also hit the share button, because this is going to be great today. We're going to hear a lot about, as I said, Jeanette's a mental health specialist. I was really passionate to get Jeanette on this show. I've tried for a month, I'm going to say, to get her on.
Yeah.
Because Jeanette helped me so much in my life. I'm glad you joined us.
Glad to be here.
Right, we've got a little bit of a bandwidth issue sometimes, but we'll be fine.
Okay.
Right then, so what Jeanette's done is she's given me a list of questions to ask her, and she's told me to not go off piste. Make sure I ask them in order. Don't ask her anything untoward, which we never do we?
You're going to die.
But what happens is we get questions from the audience. So if you've got a question for Jeanette, please feel free to throw it in the comments, and I'm sure Jeanette will answer it. I mean, she's got so much knowledge, she'll answer anything really.
It'll be fine.
So, should we just kick on?
Yeah.
Go? Right. So, as I say, Jeanette's given me a list of questions to ask, and the first one is company intro. So, Jeanette,
you sent me a list of questions.
It was me.
Yeah.
Company intro, Jeanette. So, as I said, you're from Just Breathe. Give us a little whistle-stop tour of what the business does and who for as well.
Okay, so France. Was previously the old police station in Jarrow.
Clairvaux, because I thought it was Clairvaux, you're not posh.
No, some say.
Come on, get the French.
Clairvaux.
Get your French accent on.
Okay, but it's now, as I say, it was a police station, but it's now an amazing business and conference centre. We absolutely love it in there. They've got amazing facilities.
Got lovely carpets.
Yeah, lovely carpets, yes. It's owned by the Avado group, and they've got many business and conference centres. Anyway, what do we do there? So, as you said, we do. So we deliver counselling, clinical hypnotherapy, NLP, life coaching, Reiki. We're both Reiki masters.
Are you a Reiki master as well?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Combination therapies, but Francine's better than me. We also do veteran support as well. And we do mental health first aid training. That's to, at the moment, predominantly to corporate, to companies, I suppose, small to medium business. And we also do drug and alcohol.
We'll touch upon that. One Bryn, do you know Bryn? Bryn Jones, who just said hello, do you know Bryn?
I think so, yes.
Bryn from the House of Rare, gin?
Oh, yes.
Bryn the gin man?
Yes, Bryn the gin.
Morning, Bryn.
Might need some of that later, Bryn.
This is going to go like that. Seriously, this is going to go. Okay, well, thanks for that. So that's a brief intro and background. Should we go background? What's your background?
Background. Okay, so I suppose what brought me to doing what I do today?
Yes, you could do.
Yeah?
Ignore me. I'm just going to share this so people can see it.
I suppose as a young child, I was always fairly intuitive. I used to ask a lot of questions. Absolutely loved observing people and their behaviour. Got me into a few sticky situations growing up. My mum used to do a lot of shh. It's not the right thing to ask, Jeanette. Anyway, so I kind of knew as I got older that that I was going to end up working in this field. I just didn't know how that was going to come about. But I suppose the main catalyst for me was end of 2006. My nephew was out serving in Afghanistan with 2-9 Commando. And unfortunately lost his leg in an explosion.
Right.
I really pleased to say he's done amazing, kind of defied the odds, and he's doing fantastic now. But at the time, obviously it was a massive shock for the family, especially his mum and dad, and his brothers and sisters. But for myself as well, that meant a lot of travelling backwards and forwards to Selly Oak Hospital in Birmingham.
You're supporting, what's it called? Do you share his name? Or?
So, Anthony.
Anthony. So you're supporting Anthony after the incident?
Not so much in this field because I hadn't started my training then, but supporting him as an auntie, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then the family looking after my brother and sister. And at that time, I think there was just one ward, and it was literally just full of young, limbless guys who had gone through horrific trauma.
Wow.
So observing, everything that I witnessed going on in that ward. And at the time, actually, I've just bought his book, Ben Parkinson.
Right.
And I think he, to date, is the worst injured from the Afghanistan war. So he was still there then. Well, he was there long after Anthony, and kind of having chats with his mum in the day home, and the struggles that they were going through, and she was really struggling to get him the help that he needed. Eventually, Anthony was allowed home, and from getting him home, we struggled to even get him a dressing change. Never mind any kind of psychological help. So it was really clear that it was needed. So I guess that kind of go to uni, so ended up going there, got my degree in counselling psychology.
When was that?
Sorry?
What date was that?
That was back in 2000, I got my degree 2014.
Right.
But started training kind of long before that. But then I started work for, as a caseworker for the Royal British Legion, helping ex-service men and women and their families to kind of reintegrate back into civilian life, if you like, which I absolutely loved.
Bryn's just put a comment on there. I'm going to flash this up because it's a good comment. Basically what you said is there is it's great to see mental health come to the forefront of people's minds when folks were merely forgotten and hidden away. And so those men and women who served obviously on that ward as princes, they're hidden away. We don't see that. That's sort of something that's not really shown. So in terms of support for Anthony and colleagues going forward, is there support there? Do you feel like?
Well, I'm pleased to say it's a lot better than it was then, going back then. Certainly when I first... there wasn't but I think also at that time they struggled to ask for help to a certain degree. A lot of them still do. Certainly, a lot of the veterans that I see struggle to. So you're talking, years of suffering and if not longer before they reach out and ask for help. But to be fair, some of them do try. They'll go through the NHS, but then they're put on a waiting list and they're forever. But now you've kind of got the likes of Combat Stress, which are brilliant, and the Royal British Legion. They all signpost, and there's many other charities out there that are specifically set up for that, for veteran support. Excuse me, but I think there just needs to be more awareness and more understanding that you don't. It's not a sign of weakness. It's just something that we all need.
I'm glad you said that. And awareness is from veterans or from people who kind of maybe need support. It's all people who don't know they need support. And this is what I'm really interested in, because when you and I first met, I didn't feel like I needed the support. And I remember a month or two ago when you said, Kim, I remember saying this to me, when you walked in here and you were a mess. And I didn't realise that I needed help. And I've been totally open on the show numerous times about my corporate burnout. And I think this hustle culture we're in now, from a business point of view, it's almost like, lunch is for losers. You don't sleep, you get up, you hustle. And I was a victim of that like 3 times. I burnt out. And I've spoken about this many times, hospitalised and everything. I've only just now come to kind of, not terms with it, but being mindful of my mental health. And the need to come off the gas a little bit. Whereas when I was young, I want you to talk a little bit about support in the workplace as well, if we can go there.
So I'll firstly, when it comes to the workplace, it's absolutely integral that managers, company owners are aware of their staff. And yes, they've all been hired for an individual role to fulfill a job, but they're not just a job role. It's about investing in their staff, and any manager or company owner who's worth a salt should invest in their staff. Excuse me, and their staff's well-being. Excuse me.
Do you want a drink, Pet?
Do you want a drink, Pet? Yes, I'll have a drink. Thank you. So far away, that table.
I know.
Recognising their staff, but being aware of how they are in work. Are they presenting? Are they coming in work late? Are there issues there? Checking in with their staff. It's vital that they have one-to-ones and they sit down and really get to know their staff, because the more they invest in their staff, the more they feel valued, and then the more they're going to get back in return.
Something really important there, that kind of, not a penny drop moment, but something I really want to highlight to the audience is, I had said that I didn't know that I needed help. What you're saying there, as leaders, we should be watching out for this stuff, because staff might not need the no help, but us as leaders have to be mindful of,
absolutely,
I think I'm putting too much on that person, or Susie's not looking too grand today, or Paul's feels like he's got the world of weight on his shoulders. So as leaders, we need to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. First and foremost, you have a duty of care. To those staff members. But remembering, if you're not keeping an eye on your staff and valuing them, at the end of the day, when it comes to business, it's going to affect your bottom line.
And
when it comes to business, although it shouldn't be, it inevitably is about that bottom line. So it's support there, but making time for your staff, but being genuine about that. So it's not just, oh, how are you? How was your day? It's no, how are you? What's happening?
Do you know what it is? I always say listen. So that's really easy to go, how are you doing today, Jeanette? Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, but how are you doing? Like, how was your weekend the other day? And how did Amelia do when she did that thing? And being able to like actually have some interest with authenticity, not just saying it. Yeah, definitely.
There has to be the foundations there and built on. So you do know your staff members. So it's incredibly important.
Also, I'm really interested in this sort of proactive approach.
Yes.
So that's what I was talking about before about the support thing. Not, you might not know you need support. I don't want people to have support when they need it. I want them to have it when they don't need it, to avoid them needing it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. So there's the proactive support or the reactive support. This is something I had experience of at college when I worked there for many years with staff and students. And it became more and more clear that there needed to be a proactive approach. There's absolutely no point in a staff member or a student getting to crisis moment before you intervene. It's about making sure that there are things in place. So along the lines of in college, we set up a separate room so staff members could go and just kind of chill out, if they were having a bad day, if they were struggling, or if they were struggling at home, or there's other things going on, that it was kind of that time-out room where they could go and just take 5, but not feel that they were going to be judged harshly by their boss or by their team leader because they needed that time. It's incredibly important that's there. And so trying to firefight, if you like, on rather than being proactive, then you're constantly kind of at that front line trying to keep everything at bay when you may not have needed to be there in the first place.
Isn't that a culture though?
I think so.
A culture in works is how do you harvest that culture? It's got to be top down, isn't it? It's got to be a leadership approach where
it has to come from the top. Absolutely. So again, this is when we come back to company and implementing coping strategies along the way before. So do they have regular staff one-to-ones? Do they sit down individually with their staff and say, right, what's happening? How are things at home? Are there any issues? Anything that we should know about? Or more than anything we can help with?
Coping.
Having things implemented, but also knowing that they are go-to people within their team that they can talk to.
Right, okay.
So this brings us to mental health first aid training. So when we do that...
You need to get that plug in.
I know, say.
Jeanette does mental health first aid training, by the way. Telephone number? No, go on, sorry. Sorry, yeah.
You can have that at the end. But it's about identifying. So when we deliver mental health training, there's always those few key members of staff that present as, and that they are the rescuers, if you like.
Yeah.
And that's just a natural flow for them to be that rescuer. So you identify who they are. So they may end up being sort of team leaders. So then other staff members. So they're trained up to be team leaders, and then other staff members then know who they are and that they can go to them. And then there's another one that we do for managers.
I'm smiling away here. I'm sorry, I'm smiling away here because I love this. This is such a massive passion for me to make sure that our workplaces have this, and I can almost visualize what you've just said there about having team leaders all mental health trained, and then someone. So what would a typical thing, like? So someone's on shift or something, and what would that approach be like? What would a typical scenario look like?
So I guess it could come from many different areas, but one in particular, I don't know, somebody's struggling with family issues at home.
Okay.
So they're not able to leave that at home. So they come home and they're definitely presenting as, you know, not on goal, not perhaps not performing as
so it's not just like I've got a massive workload I can't handle. It could be, but again, it could be something like, you know, I've had a death in the family, or you know, my daughter's ill or something.
Loss, grief, trauma, anything along those lines. But kind of linking back in. Bosses and managers being mindful of job roles, and okay, you start a job, yes, this is your remit, this is your role, this is what you need to do for this company, these are your responsibilities, and then a few days down the road, oh, by the way, can you just do this? Just have this, and then, and especially if they're fairly new employees, that they're not wanting to say, oh no, I can't do that, I can't manage, because then, you know, when things come along, like progression, promotion, they'll remember that I said no, or I can't do that, so I'll be bypassed.
You must have been there. I've been there. And you know,
definitely.
You know, I talk about my burnout stories. It's like just yes. The answer is just yes. Isn't that, maybe that's a generational thing though, that we were brought up with that, where you just like.
I think it comes from that generation. You know, suck it up and you get on. Because you have that learned behaviour, that understanding that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So this then takes us into the psychology side of things. So as I've explained to you before, we have an internal locus of evaluation and an external locus of evaluation. And that could be, here's Mick, this is what Mick's expecting from me, so I'll present as that. But internally, there could be a lot going on, so you're not coping, you don't want to present that at work, or to Mick, or to Tom, or, you know, Harriet or Sharon, you don't want to present in this way, so this is what they expect from me, so I'll give them.
How many times have I said to you that I'd be standing on a stage at a conference doing a speech, but behind the eyes I'm like really struggling with work and have family life, but pull that mask on.
For years, going back, especially through the breakup of my marriage, struggling with personal things at home. So my daughter Amelia is autistic, so it was the whole struggle through getting her diagnosed. Do I allow my daughter to take medication? Oh my God, the thought of, you know, having your daughter on medication, but then doing enough research to think, well, no, if she doesn't have this, then she's not going to be able to cope at school, she's not going to be able to channel, she's not going to be able to learn. So, but it's weighing things up and knowing what is the right thing to do, and second guessing yourself, am I doing the right thing here? But it's dealing with the pressures at home, and then still carrying on working, but presenting in the way that you know or think.
Well, I'm really glad to see this. Sorry, LinkedIn user, I don't know what you might want to pop your name on the end of these comments if you want, so I can see. We've got health advocates and buddies for staff, this user said, so that's really reassuring. I'm glad. And if you have got that, drop that in the comments. I'd be really interested in. There's our Misha, look, she's on holiday there and she's even tuned in. And there's Mama Steele as well, look, you know. So that's really reassuring to see that there is that in the workplace, and I'd really be interested to see if that's becoming a trend now, because as we just touched upon earlier on, maybe, you know, a generation or so ago, might not have been a thing. And I suppose going back into the mental health, it just wasn't something that you spoke about. It was very much a taboo subject. And I think going back into the forces side of things, it definitely wasn't something, you know, I'm a soldier, I'm a Marine, I'm a sailor, we don't do this. We just. Is that still the case? Not so much now, I don't think. I still think there's a way to go. I think possibly more so those that have, who, you know, veterans now who've left, and maybe have
certainly my experience as a caseworker in the Legion, even though they were entitled to ask for help from the Royal British Legion, it was the end of the road for them, the fact that they needed to ask for help. And I can remember going out on many visits and people just in bits because they've had, it's come to this, or I heard that sentence so many times, I can't believe it's come to this, that I've had to ask for help.
Right,
I
okay.
really don't want to be doing that. And that was awful to see. But as I say, luckily things are hopefully progressing in the right direction. I still think there needs to be a lot more government funding though.
Don't get me on that soapbox. Don't get me there. Thanks, Karen. Lovely for you to join us, Karen. Just put her name in the comments there.
Oh, hi, Karen.
The gaffer, Misha, is telling us to turn my mic down, which I've done.
Is it too loud, Misha?
Well, it's probably me. You're lovely and gentle, and I'm not. Right, what does your day-to-day look like?
Day to day, so it's predominantly kind of
looking after people like me.
Looking after people like you, yeah. One-to-one sessions in my office. Kind of working, the way that I do, kind of collectively, making sure I'm keeping up with my notes, any referrals that I have to do on a day-to-day basis, or if we're delivering training that day, or we're carrying out drug and alcohol, which sometimes, we have to travel for, so a lot of the times in London, but it's always a break from the office. In meeting with potential corporate clients, new customers. And again, this is why the facilities at Clairvaux
nicely done.
Is so amazing for us. So we've got the boardroom there, we've got the grand chambers that we deliver training in. Literally everything's there that we need.
It's lovely, when I come and see you, because it is like you've got it set up so calm and like inviting, and we just sit like this, actually, isn't it? Like, across the road away from each other, and you're just like, right, how's things been going? And it's like, I tell people so much. When I was a boy, my auntie, and I'll give you a quick story, my auntie lives in Canada, and I went out there when I was like 13, I think, for 6 weeks holidays, and the families go and see a therapist.
Yeah.
It's the thing, and that was in late 80s, 90s. And I don't think that was a thing for us.
No.
Now, when you and I met and I started coming to see you, like I have said, I'm getting wrong again, look, I'm getting wrong again. My mic's too loud.
No,
I'll move it away. When you and I first met, I'd said to everybody, you need to do this. Even if you've got nothing going on, it's just a chat. Yeah. Someone will listen, ask questions. You said to me the first time you went, I'll challenge you. And I love that, because I really do love that, because you did, you do. I do you as well. Yeah. We had this relationship with Will. Yeah. That is great, and there's nothing to be scared of. No one's right or wrong. It's opinions and everything, but just make me see things from another side.
Yeah.
Or just bring me back and go, do you not think this, or why do you think that might happen? I just love that. I don't know where I'm going with this, but. I think it's so important that we have that, and it's accepted that we have that, like it was in the States across the pond. Yeah, and absolutely right. They do. They all have my therapist. They all have a therapist. And eventually, it is getting better here, and eventually it will be that. So we have physical MOTs every year. So why don't we have mental health check-ins every year? Why don't we? Choose to fully embrace and choose to be the absolute best version of ourselves. Love that. And present in that way, we're only here once. It's about making the most of it. I'm a fan of stories. Yeah. And I give you this question, tell us some stories, because I think we can relate to them. Okay. So obviously you've got sensitivity and confidentiality, but some ideas or some stories about where you step in and Okay, well, one in particular that when, as I said, we had never envisaged in a million years that we were going to be doing drug and alcohol testing. There's a story connected to that, actually. That was quite funny. I do our training, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. You ask me about that in a bit. Oh, will do. So
but because we started doing that in the companies that we were working for, we also provide them mental health training and wellbeing for staff. And one time in particular, we had a guy who's actually an ex-veteran who'd presented, and it's part of their contract, their contract when they start work for the company that they have, a drug and alcohol test.
Mm-hmm.
So we went down, we did that, and it was positive. So, but what we were able to do because of that was then implement the right help, the right professional support, to be able to help him find out what was going on and why this was happening in the first place. And in this particular occasion, obviously no names mentioned, for him, it was again just readjusting to civilian life and the pressures of it, and stepping out from that of being where everything's there to the civilian life, and he really struggled with that, but didn't ask for help. So he then used his own. So everything is a coping mechanism. So the issues around him were what he was using as coping mechanisms. So once we were able to investigate that and help him find to change that behaviour, if you like, because everything we do is a behaviour. He was able to settle down. We were able to mediate with his bosses, and luckily he was able to keep his job. But because of that, he's now so much more invested in his role.
Excellent.
They are getting so much more from him. And I've actually heard through the grapevine there's a few times that he's been approached, headhunted, but he said, no, I'm staying with this company because they invested in me, so therefore I'm going to invest in them. So that was amazing. That was really
so good. That's kind of turning the drug and alcohol testing on its head a little bit. I imagine when people think of drug and alcohol testing, it's like I want to know who, and maybe then let them go. But this is more of a let's find out and then support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
And when Francie and I go down to do that, we always take that time to connect with whoever we're working, even though they're just there for that specific test. You ask about them, you ask about the day, how long, who did you work for before, etc. 99.9% of them have got nothing to worry about. They still get nervous because what happens if something comes back? What happens if that sherry trifle is going to show up? We actually had one lady say that.
Oh, really?
She had it about 4 days before, but never mind.
Word.
So yeah, the two marry really well, and we're really, really pleased that we did that now.
What about? I've spoken to you about can we go COVID? Can we still do this?
We can do COVID.
We've spoke about this before, and I'm really interested the way people are starting to return to work. There's going to be anxieties around that. There's going to be a bit of, do I wear a mask? Don't I wear a mask? And there's a lot of stuff there. How do we, as leaders, bring people back to work? What could we do? How could we ensure that we're all firing? Going back to work is a bit like having an induction again.
Well, yeah.
Even like here's the health and safety.
Yeah.
Remember this, that, and the other, because some people have been out for like 18 months.
It's being mindful, again, especially if they're coming back in the office. I mean, there's so many businesses now, I think, have realised that, let's just say it, they can save money by not having that that office space. And to be but there are equally those that will thrive in the office environment, and the office banter and connecting with people. And most of the apart from the first one, the lockdown, I carried on working, obviously being sort of frontline in my office, but I think I probably would have struggled just having to be at home all the time. So and a lot of people ended up disconnecting from themselves because of that, sort of socially and emotionally. So that's certainly the case where children are concerned. So as far as bosses, it's just making sure and there's a clear policy as far as what's expected of them from a COVID standpoint. So this is what we expect you to do, making it clear instructions, but clearly letting them know that if there are any issues, then please, come to see me.
We'll talk about this proactive approach and reactive approach. Could we do something where you have a number of days where you go into an organisation and just do an MOT, like a health check, and maybe like a couple of days, like check in? How would that work? What could you do?
So what we do now, we offer kind of bespoke packages to companies. So I guess companies come in to chat with us, let us know how many members of staff they've got, what kind of cover they would like. So we can then go in and do mental health workshops, if you like, just kind of, get to know your colleagues. This is very much an NLP thing as well, getting working in small groups but getting to know each other. So how often you see these huge offices, especially in finance, where it just seems to go on and on and on. The energy tends to really struggle in places like that. So, you might work at one end of an office and somebody might work way down the other end, and you might, acknowledge them, but you don't know them. You don't know who they are.
Right, okay.
So have those connected, but it all leads at the end to a more constructive way of working, a more integrated way of working, setting those values out. But easy ways to implement that is maybe on a Friday afternoon, saying, right, okay, don't worry about bringing lunch in on a Friday, let's, work will supply that. Or how about if the company's not that big, everybody just brings something in and we all sit down together and get around the table. We used to get them at college every now and again, half-day Fridays, which was woo!
Yeah.
As that was in Newcastle, it was straight to the pub. But
well, the girls get half days Fridays, but I don't.
You don't. Oh
no,
poor Ian. What a shame.
I'm really interested in that, and whether I don't know what that would look like, because you talk about like lots of different people all kind of like working in little silos. What would you do? Get people together and give them exercises to do, or get them to re-engage and refamiliarize themselves with each other, or?
So it's kind of that check-in thing as well. That's something else that's really good to implement into a company. You kind of have sort of morning check-ins. So as far as small groups are concerned in sort of workshops, we'll kind of first of all allow them to sort of work with who they want, kind of groups of 3, groups of 2 or whatever, and give them an exercise to do. And again, that can be something around finding out about maybe something that they want to do. So are they happy where they are? Excuse me. Or do they want to progress in the company? How would they see that? So it then becomes a visual thing. So as you know, I'll say to them, well, okay, so see that, visualize it, allow yourself to feel that. What's that going to feel like? How accomplished are you going to feel if you manage to achieve that? Let's really step into that. Let's hold on to that.
So I did ask you this year, look. What have you seen trends of late?
Trends of late, again, COVID, huge amount of health anxiety.
What do you mean health anxiety?
So down to the whole pandemic. So oh, am I going to get COVID? Am I going to die? Are my
What's
children
the
going to get
effect
it?
gonna have on me?
How am I going to cope? Is my job going to be safe? Then that links into financial as well. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. So there's a lot of financial worry.
Yeah. So what, as leaders, what could you do then to alleviate that worry? Would you do like a talk? Would you get everybody together and just communicate? I'm a huge fan of communication.
It has to be about communication and keeping that. And again, this is where the one-to-one, but then the group sessions as well, from a leader perspective, you get everybody together and say, right, this is where we are, this is where the company is, this is what we're doing. So keep them informed, your job is fine, it's safe. But then kind of from a one-to-one check-in, but so this is what we expect. I'm really pleased, that you've delivered this and this. That was amazing work. I say that word a lot, but it's so true.
What, connect?
Connect.
Yeah.
So step into, somebody else's energy, somebody else's model of the world, if you like.
I think it is a good point, connection. I mean, even from a personal point of view, my pals and I always used to get together on a Saturday in the pub, 5 o'clock. We'd watch the football, we'd have a few beers. You just rant at each other about work, right? The group is like 25% of what it was.
Yeah.
Because this habit of not going out now and not seeing we don't go out now. That's not a thing. It really worries me because the connection that you just said there, you lose it.
So you disengage socially and emotionally. So it's and how often, and I've heard it so many times. I've had text from such and such and messages, and I'm guilty of it to a certain degree, where you think, I'll answer that later, but you just never get around to doing it. It's not because you don't want to. It's because we're putting other things first. But everything has to start with us. I've said to you many times, it's got to start with us and where we're going from there. Because if we're not in a great place, if we're not firing on all cylinders, then how are we going to then step in and be everything that we need to be, whether that be in a home environment or a work environment?
If you identify someone in the workplace who isn't, like I'm thinking from a takeaway from somebody watching this, so they might have a colleague who they may see that's going a little bit down or just not themselves. What could they do? What would you suggest? Sorry to put you on the spot here. But
no, that's fine. So if they see a colleague,
if you just feel someone's just not themselves, or
so then talk.
Right, okay.
Absolutely talk to say, look, I've noticed that you don't seem to be yourself. That you genuinely care, and it's not just a brush off. It's,
so what do you say? Like, if you've got 2 minutes, could you actually fancy having a coffee upstairs or somewhere, or let's have a walk, maybe.
Let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Outside is brilliant. I'm all about energy.
Yeah.
Outside is fantastic for kind of release. There's so much to be gained from that. You don't all have to hug trees, but
I love a good hug.
I do as well.
Yeah. So what's the future looking like then? So we're kind of returning to work, if you like. How is Just Breathe going to react to this? Because I've certainly saw in our business things have really kicked on. People now are kind of wanting to do stuff. Our phones ringing, our inbox is increasing. What's next for you guys then?
For us, it's kind of expansion. We definitely want to expand. It's all about the flow for us. So the more you give, the more you receive. That universal flow. So it's about connecting with as many businesses, and there's no business really that would not benefit from having mental health support for their staff or packages in place. So kind of reaching more people and doing more. We'd really like to push forward a little bit more with the veteran side. So we're kind of looking into that, but again, there's a huge amount of funding that's needed. But in the meantime, we still kind of do the one-to-ones and support wherever we can. pushing forward and reaching as many as possible.
I'm going to let you hit the sales frontier because you mentioned packages, and straight away in my mind, I love sales. I'm like, right,
Yeah.
what does a package look like? How much is it? What is it? No, so I'm not going to talk costs.
No.
But what does a package look like? Like, what did you mean?
So, so packages. So we do bespoke. Whether they want to do it on a retainer purpose, so we have companies that we do that for. So that means then basically that they have access to us. So they can call us. In the past, we've done kind of telephone service as well, sort of in that interim. But that involves kind of if any members of staff identifies needing help, then so at the moment we work with councils and business. So they will, so local councils at the minute will just contact me and say, can you see this member of staff?
Excellent.
And they'll come for a set amount of sessions. And that can be for any number of reasons. They may have had some time off sick, struggling with the COVID, or they could have lost their direction or burnout. And in some cases, in some companies, it's because of bullying in the workforce. So let's deal with this. So so that mediation kind of between perhaps two members of staff that are sort of clashing. It's right, let's pull this apart and let's find out what's going on. That's
really interesting. I'll tell a story, but I won't say who it was. I was talking to a leader the other day, and we took a photograph of his team, and he'd said that photograph says weren't the best of friends.
Yeah.
And on the photograph, they were stood next to each other with a really genuine smile.
Wow. Yeah.
And he was like, look at that, because of the work they've done to, make sure everyone's firing.
Yeah.
And that culture is tight and everyone's working together.
Absolutely.
And he loved that.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Packages can be from any kind of business, really, that needs that support. A lot of our one-to-one stuff can come from any field. So doctors, nurses, engineering company that we've got at the moment. So beauty industry, we're doing a lot with the beauty industry. Teaching is massive. Teachers and heads.
Like I'd wax lyrical about you. I've said that. I talk about you all the time because of the opportunity to talk like this, and what I said before about like why would you go. I think I went in for X, and then you talk about Y, and then I talk about Z, and then we're on to C, and then it's M, and then I'm like, would you mind like doing this? And then it's just lovely because as you like, especially this 18 months, as we get older, as our life changes, as work changes, pressures, relationships, marriages, children, it throws up lots of little things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what I enjoyed about our relationship is, as these things throw up, I'll just drop you a text and say, can I pop in next Tuesday? And I'll talk about something that's on my mind or give me a little bit of, whereas in the past, that's fine. I'll just push it.
You suppress it. So,
yeah.
And that's what we can, and some people can do that for years, for decades. You just keep suppressing, but there's only so long that you can suppress your emotion, your kind of emotional self, if you like. And I spoke earlier about that internal locus and the external locus, and what happens if we unplug emotionally for too long, then that gap then gets wider. So we lose track of who we are. So we end up presenting, so we lose ourselves in the mire, if you like.
You said about being the best version of yourself. It's also being, that's what I think is good as well. And like, and the more you work on yourself, then the more that's going to show, because then that flow then continues. So you're feeling good, then you go out into the world and you throw that out. So it's that then will affect your colleagues at work, your staff at work. Definitely, yeah. And you're probably kinder on yourself. You might not be, I don't know, maybe having a drink or something to, when you some people say they get home on an evening, I'm so sick, and then they'll open a bottle of beer or wine or something. Or maybe now they might go, well, I feel good, I'm not going to do that. I don't need that crutch.
Yeah, I'm going to go out for a walk instead. I'm going to interact. I'm going to learn something new.
Don't get us wrong. I do that. I do open a bottle of beer when I'm sick as a chip. What else have you got then? I'm just mindful of time. We've got 50 minutes there. Collaboration. I did put collaboration down because I thought about Adam that we had on the show from the health insurance group. And they have cash plans. I'm not a huge expert on this, but where you have something in place with the company where they can use firms to help them. Can you talk about that? Because I'm not an expert.
So again, that kind of comes down to us kind of going out to see them or them coming to see us. And we need to know a little bit more about their business and how they tick and what it is that they're looking to deliver. Again, we'll go back to how many members of staff, but helping them to sometimes it can work from. I understand what you're saying about Adam and what Adam offers, and that's brilliant. And yes, there's hopefully some work that we can do there together. That would be great. But maybe linking, I suppose, with other organisations who need mental health support, then yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
What? So,
in as far as we're probably talking along any genre really. So, education. So, in college, I know when I was working in the college. And still do have a fantastic counselling department there. And that's Newcastle College, brilliant. Carol, hi, Vicky. So they have they had a set regime, and then where staff were concerned, we were at one point able to see staff, but then that was taken away. So then there wasn't so much available for staff. So it's kind of perhaps a collaboration there where we can connect there. I think there definitely needs to be more of that. But I suppose supporting charities, what have you. We work with a few charities. So there's Maxine Curl. She runs a charity called One Punch. She lost her son Christian to One Punch. She now works with the probation service and Northumbria Police, and bringing awareness to that. And that's an amazing. So we work with them as well, and we do some support there. Tracy Sinton, she has let me get this charity right. She supports a charity called I think it's the Future charity, which she lost her son, bless him, when he was Joseph, when he was 10, to brain cancer. So they work massively in fundraising for the RVI. They're right up there with them. So we've supported there as well. And they normally have kind of a ball every year that we go to. Because of COVID, that's not been happening. That's always a fun one. But she raises a huge amount of money for.
And do you collaborate with them, or do you support them, or?
So. But down to COVID and everything. So, but we support Tracy, who's the main, absolutely. So, yeah, and then more recently, last Christmas, in fact, we supported Heaven Helps.
Oh, yes.
And we put a shout out there to all of our amazing friends, because we found out that there were vulnerable children living in the community. They have, I think, someone who kind of looks out for them, but they are living from 14, 15, 16-year-old, and there weren't going to be anything for Christmas. So,
are they predominantly like a food bank?
So I think they supply, Heaven Helps do amazing work with lots of charities kind of for the local community. But this was, we took this on, well, I should say Francine heard about it and came running to my office and said, "Oh, Jeanette, we can't let this can't happen, I can't have kids waking up on Christmas morning with nothing." So we then went all out and we managed to, I think we did about 40 children, we took about 40 children on, but all of our friends and colleagues were amazing, so dropping loads of stuff off.
You know how you mentioned Francine there?
Yeah.
Shall we bring her in?
You can bring Francine.
So you'll be watching this in another room. It's an experience
for everyone.
It is an experience for everyone. She needs her 5 minutes of fame. I think it would be because she compliments you really well. I've never known colleagues like you guys. You just fire so much. I'm going to move this because she might bull through this door.
Yeah, knock her flying. Yeah, that'll be about right.
And knock that out of the way. Hopefully she's watching, because I like that pop in, because what would you say is it like holistic side to the business?
No, Francine delivers mental health training as well. She's fully qualified to deliver mental health training. She also delivers Reiki training. But I'll let her tell you because she's amazing.
I can hear someone at the door. Got a special guest. Special guest. Hello.
Hiya.
Where shall we shove her?
Where should we shove her?
Can you honk her down there, do you think?
Can I honk her down there?
How are you going to get down there?
I'll give it a go.
Go on.
I'll tell you what, I'll kneel in the middle and she can sit here.
Well, go on, yeah, no, yes to her. Where do you think? Or shall I be the gent?
We're all good.
We're all good?
We're all good.
You have to say hello.
Hi. I prefer that, Meg.
It's like Ant and Dec, you can't shift me off the seat on the brain. No, we're just talking about how you compliment Jeanette. Have you been watching?
Yes.
She's done alright, isn't she?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you to be all right.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your role then?
So I just breathe on the one-to-one side of things. I do kind of Reiki and relaxation techniques with people. On the corporate side of things, I deliver mental health first aid training, workshops, the drug and alcohol testing, visiting companies to put reviews in place, discuss packages. So, yeah.
What do you mean packages? Tell us about that.
So everything you've been discussing, really. Companies get in touch and they may have individuals that just want to get help, or they may want to make some big changes to the workplace. A lot of the time, they want to tick some boxes and achieve some ISOs. So
I didn't think about that.
They need to do some investment to get there. Yeah.
Good. So we brought you in. I'm expecting big things. We do not going to like juggle fire or something like that.
I know, I was thinking that. I was expecting what's going to happen here.
No, we'll have to bring you in. We'll have to show you off. So we've got a couple of minutes left before the hour. Is there anything we haven't said that you might want to say? Anything we've missed? Anything you might want to leave our audience with? Any takeaways?
I think some coping mechanisms, possibly. So we work a lot with self-harm. It's something we've both got a lot of experience in. So mentioning things that they can do, because obviously it's a coping mechanism, it's a behaviour. So things along the lines of...
for me, it would be... Something to take away from this today is if you're an individual and you're struggling, or you're supporting a loved one that's struggling with the mental health, just start really basic. So have still work because it keeps freezing out there.
Just out there?
Yeah, it's freezing when we're watching.
Is it? Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi issue. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, take those long walks in nature. Ring a friend, even if you're not going to tell that friend what you're going through. ring them. But then try as well in your workplace to see if you can encourage the workplace to make so many workplaces now are making fantastic changes. They are. There's so many people on board, and the changes that have taken place in the last 10, 20 years is amazing. But there's still such a long way to go. So encouraging the boss to get some of you out there doing your mental health first aid training, encouraging that nice quiet room where if someone feels a little bit overloaded and they just need 5-10 minutes to breathe, just start with the small and then in time build up.
Jeanette tells me that, take a bath, put your lavender in, I'll put my candles on. My daughter's like, Dad, what are you doing in there? I'm having a moment.
Do you have the sparkles as well?
Of course I do.
Yeah, you've got to have the sparkles.
It's so important.
It's really important. Here's a technical question. Rob, do you know Rob upstairs from Vortex? Rob's a good lad.
Yes.
Do you think there'll be an uptake of ISO 45003? Wow. In light of the impact COVID has on workplace?
Again, I would hope so.
Okay.
But it's down to business owners to implement that and to push forward. But it certainly should be happening. It's certainly the next stage.
Do business owners know about that though? It's an education piece, isn't it? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of business now within the human resources department will employ somebody or give them responsibility, and that will be their job to
specific role.
Research that and to find out exactly what is out there, what they can be awarded, and what recognition that'll give them, and therefore what access that gives them to bigger things.
Yeah.
But I do think there'll be a bigger uptake for that.
And it is the bigger picture as well. It is looking at in the long term, the bigger picture.
What is the benefit of having that as an accreditation?
Well, for starters, the any company can kind of put it on their on the literature.
Do you think it would take you through a process that you might not have? Is it structured?
Yeah. So
even as an employee looking to go and work for somebody,
right? Okay. Yeah.
And you can say, "Oh, these take care of the workforce because they've got all this in place."
Oh, right. Okay.
So
it's knowing that you're going to be valued, and they obviously take that side of the mental health side of things really seriously.
So that's like employee attraction, isn't it? We've got this in place.
Absolutely, you're going to retain your workforce if you invest enough time and effort into them, and again, kind of get to know them. Yeah.
My mate Bryn there is just for a little plug. We've got a group called Carp Away, so I'm really passionate about getting out into nature. And we take about a dozen people once a month. Have they join us?
Oh yes.
Once a month we go on a walk. Bryn's a regular attendee. And we call it brain breathing. It's called Buckley. Phrase that term. It's amazing. Us as leaders, we get out once a month, and unfortunately COVID stopped it, but it was so good. Getting out in nature, walking side by side as well, not looking in the eye, right? Because it's like something, isn't it, about but like side by side, and just sharing. Is it amazing?
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And it's about using that opportunity for the release as well, but really paying attention to what's around you. So really seeing, really connecting, really looking at the flowers, at the greenery, at the sky, at the scenery, taking that time. So more often than not, we're in such a rush to get from the car to where we're going.
Right, okay.
We don't take it all in. We don't drink it, if you like. So very much an Eckhart Tolle thing, who I think is brilliant. There's loads of his stuff free on YouTube. And it is about the power of the now and using that.
45 minutes of a walk in the woods reduces your blood pressure, reduces stress levels, it aids a better night's sleep, it clears the mind naturally for focus, and it grounds so anybody can walk in and be agitated and stressed and irritated over something that's happened, but they will naturally ground as they walk through the woods.
Right, okay. I remember reading something like when you go on holiday, you get grounded because you've got your socks and shoes off and your soles of your feet are on the earth. Yeah. Getting a bit huggy and spiritually here now, but
it's all good.
I love that.
Yeah.
But
that's important. Take your shoes off.
If you can't get out in the woods, if you can't get out anywhere during COVID, go in the back garden, take your socks and shoes off and stand on the grass.
So Bryn says there, the excitement of getting lost always adds to the day, because I always get everyone lost. Thanks, mate. Thanks for that. But we take a day out. I know you said 45 minutes. We take a day out. Now I know a day sounds like probably to a lot of people think that's a lot of time to take out of the business. You're actually more productive when you get back.
But how much more they're going to get back? Absolutely.
And you
again, it's a bigger picture.
And sharing it with like colleagues, you get back, you've got your mojo back because everyone's just kind of counts on each other for a day. It's really
Even
good.
staff nights out as well, arranging staff to all go out and have a, it doesn't have to be a, a massive drinking
Blowout.
session.
Yeah, just, you can go bowling or have a meal.
Doesn't it not fancy?
There's Misha. There's your Misha. Say hello to you, look.
Hi, Misha.
She's on holiday
Hello,
today. She's
Misha.
even checking in to see you.
Oh.
So, anything else before we go?
Can you think of anything else?
No.
No?
Probably 100%
All been
from
great
me,
today. Told you it was going to
All
be fine.
good. All good. It just flashed like an hour. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. I love these two. I had to get this done. It's been a long time coming. So thank you both for your time.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for all your support.
No worries. Oh, there's
You're awesome.
Suitcase in here. Shoes off straight away. Watching. We will be back, I think, next week. I'm going to get wrong with Misha for saying that. Actually, I haven't even planned it. Yeah, we could be back next week. There you go.
Thank
You
you,
were
Misha.
amazing. Thank you so much, Misha. Enjoy your weekend. And everyone else enjoy their weekends as well. And we'll see you very soon. And thanks for watching.
Thank you.